Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to be treating the May-June 2025 paper 2-1 of the Cambridge IGCSE computer science. Okay, and as usual we'll be handling the programming part. Alright, so here's the question. It says the one-dimensional array 1D competitor name contains the names of 25 competitors, so we need to right away take note of some key points here. So there are 25 competitors in a tournament that includes 5 events. So there are 5 events in 25 competitors. Another two-dimensional array, competitor score. So let's take note of these. Take note of this. Okay, contains the points scored by each competitor in the 5 events. Okay, so the first dimension of this array contains the index of the competitor from competitor name, and the second dimension contains their scores. Okay, so let me quickly show us. I did this here. Okay, so from here you can easily see from the statement that the first dimension of this array contains the index of the competitor from competitor name. Okay, so competitor name and then their scores. So here you have it. You have the competitor name, okay, and then you have the scores for each of the events, right? So each competitor receives score out of 100 for each event. These scores are manually entered into competitor score. Medals are awarded to the competitor or the competitors who have the highest points scored in each of the 5 events. So you need to do this part. So let's just take note of this part, okay, which is very important. The highest total points scored for all 5 events. So for each of the events, you award a medal to the highest scorer, and then for the entire, you sum everything up and find out the highest scorer. Then you equally award a medal to the person or the persons. So let this table here be a snapshot, okay, to what we are about to do, because it is very important for you to visualize the problem so that the coding becomes a lot easier. So the instruction here says that for each of these events, you need to know the maximum score and award medals to each competitor, that gets the maximum score. So for this sample data I'm using here, you see that 90 is the highest. So we need to award a medal to this competitor and this competitor number 4 because they have the highest score. Now the same thing for each of the events. You run the same thing for each of them, and then while you're doing that, you will sum them up again and award a medal to any competitor that has the highest mark, that has the highest total points. Okay, so that's what that part of the question is trying to say, which is this one. Yeah, so the one-dimensional array 1D point stores the total number of points scored for each competitor. So here we have it. So this point would score the total number of points. So for these guys, you need to sum all of their points up, and find out the maximum. Yeah, okay, so and then you store it here, you store it under points. Now, write a program that meets the following requirements. Okay, so this is where the task begins from. So let me just copy this to avoid a long read. As usual, I'll paste it and then I'll use it to write the rest of the code. Before we continue, here says you must use pseudocode or program code and add comments to explain how your code works. So for the sake of my my videos, I usually make use of Python. So you can choose any programming language of your choice. The logic will largely be the same, just the syntax will just need to change a little. Okay, you do not need to declare any arrays of variables. Now, in our case, we need to, because we want our programs to run. Yeah. So we want to see that the program is running effectively. So we need to do that. At least we can have sample data to use. All input and output must contain suitable messages. Okay. So let's go straight to the programming. So here is my Python. I've created a Python file already with that name. Okay. So I'm just going to copy and paste this here, select everything and do my control / to comment them out. Okay, because that is going to help us in the writing of the programs. Not forgetting these other points here. Okay. All right, so let's proceed. So first things first, we need to take note of the variables that we will need in order for this program to work effectively. We need a number of events. Okay, can you still remember number of events? It's 5, right? Check back, you will confirm that number of events is 5. Oh, spelling problem. Okay, number of uppercase, yeah, number of events is 5. Okay, apart from that, we need the competitor name. Okay, competitor name. Please, when you're spelling competitor names, is it name or names? Let's be sure. Name, okay. So the idea is, in our case, we want to use some sample data just to see how the program will. Remember, they are supposed to be 25. Okay, but we can't really do that now. So we just end up with, let me use 4 names here just to, for us to have a sample data to work with. Okay, so here we are, the 4 samples we want to use. But remember, in the exams, you don't need to do this. Remember, you don't need to do this. Okay, you don't need to. It is assumed that the names are already there. We need to know the number of competitors. Number of competitors. Okay, so uh, competitors will be the length of the competitor name. Yeah, good. So that will be the length of the competitor name. What else do we need? We can put up some comments if we want, which is very, very important. Okay. So this is 1D array. Okay, so that's 1D array that stores the competitor names. What other comments do we need to put? This is number of competitors. Now these comments are required. Okay. What else do we need? Now we need a 2D array. Competitor score. Is it score, competitor score, or scores? Let's confirm this. Please, your variable names must align with what the question says. Okay. Competitor score. Okay. So here, what we're going to do, remember it is a 2D array, so we will populate them first of all with zeros. Okay. Okay, so if you watch here, I hope this is correct. No, let's change it this way. Number of events, and then number of competitors. So I want it to look this way, not the other way. Yeah, I want this to be the rows and then the columns. I don't want this to be the columns and then this is the row. Okay, so that's why I did that. All right, so here we are. What else do we need to do? What else do we need to do? So this one is going to populate all of them with zeros. Let me quickly show us what this will look like. Let's print the scores. Yeah, okay. What this? Okay, so here we are. Let me run this so that you see what I mean. So I want it looking this way. Yeah, so here for each of these is the score for each competitor. You understand? Each competitor, and then these ones are for the events. You understand? Good. Maybe I need to keep this. Okay, let me keep it here. What else do we need to do? Do we need to do? Okay, so I think at this point we've majorly taken note of the things that we need before we start to proceed. So here it says takes an input valid scores between 0 to 100. Okay, so this is what I like to do. I usually like to start by making the condition to be false. Okay, so that I can tie it into the loop. Okay, so this one basically is to give like the default value, okay, for users inputted score. Okay, so that way when I use my while loop, it can automatically enter into that loop until the user meets the condition which is to enter a value between 0 and 100. All right, so because we're dealing with a 2D array, we need loop. So I'm going to say competitor in range competitors. Okay, so remember, you can just do this or you can do from 0. So they mean the same thing. Okay, so if you don't put any value here, it's going to be automatically by default assume that you're starting from 0. Yeah, okay, but I like to do that, I don't know, for clarity's sake, beginning from 0 and ending at number of competitors. So it will start from here. So we're taking the competitor name. Okay, so after that, I want us to make this program as interactive as possible. Let's print a statement that will let us know the competitor that we are about to enter the score for. Okay, so with this, the name of the competitor is displayed. Okay, so once the name is displayed, we can now go ahead to enter the loop for the event. Okay, event in number of events. Okay, what else do we need here? Then we can print uh enter event for, okay. Okay, so we can print. I don't want to use some of these prompts that this guy sent it to. So we can enter event. Let's do event plus 1, because it will start from 0, so we don't want to see event 0. Okay, so we want it to do event 1. Okay, all right, so after that we can now put everything into our loop, so that it will do while. I don't want to do while true. While score is less than 0, or the score is greater than 100. So once this condition is false, the user will be trapped into the loop. So I remember we did this, our score less than become -1, so automatically you'll be kept in this loop so that you can meet the condition before you can exit that very loop. Okay, so score equals this has to be an integer. Okay, so remember that part of the instruction says that we should use suitable messages, which is here for our output and input. So this part is very critical. So we can say we want to enter score between 0 to 100. Okay. So remember, while you're doing that, you can be making your comments along the line. So here we are validating user input, and then here we are taking user input. Okay, where are we now? So after that, you need to store whatever the user has inputted into the competitor score. Okay, so you have to store so this one determines the competitor 1, competitor 0, event 0, competitor 0, event 2, like that. Okay, you just enter all of the scores. All right, now if you notice this latest version of PyCharm keeps helping me to complete the code. So I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for the student, okay, because with this latest AI thing, so I don't know if this version of PyCharm will be allowed in schools for examinations anymore. I don't know. So you tell me in the comments section. Let me know if it is a good thing or a bad thing for new learners. I believe it's perfect for already established programmers who have maybe a task to complete and they need to hurry up. Maybe it's a good thing. But for learners, I don't know. I don't know if it's a very good thing. And then for examination purpose, I don't know if it is a good thing. Okay, so you let me know what you think. All right, so here we're trying to reset the default value. Are you wondering why we need to reset this value? So that after entering the first one, we return this to a false state where so that it can be able to enter into this loop again for validation and input to take place. Yeah. If you don't do this, it's going to just do it once and then it will exit. Okay, so I haven't done this. So this will make the user to enter all possible values. Okay, and then we can choose to print. Let's see what the user has entered. So we want to print the score. Yeah. Okay. Let me quickly take note of this so that we can enter this value to see if they are correct. So let us run this program again in order to enter the values to see if everything is working well. Okay, so this is the idea. So enter event for Almond. Remember that Almond is the first competitor here, and we're entering for event 1. So let's do 90, and then it shifts to event 2 for the same person. Okay, remember it's the same person. Event 2, let's do 50. So once you exit entering, or if you finish entering all the scores for the first competitor, it automatically shifts to the second. Yeah, who in this case is Brave. Okay, so having done that, you see all our entries have been displayed here, so they entered correctly. So let's just you can quickly just scroll through to verify that. Okay, so we have 90 50 000 for the first competitor. So if you check, it is correctly entered here, and then the rest of them actually entered as well. So by doing this, we have successfully finished the first criteria here. So we need to move to the second criteria where we need to do some calculations. Okay. Now, before you calculate the highest point scored for each event, there are basic things you need to do. You need to calculate the total point. Remember, now, I could have done that here, but for sake of clarity, I feel I should do it separately. Okay. So remember that we're told to put it in points, right? Let's confirm that. Yeah, points. So point is equal to, remember that the point is a 1D array. Okay. So let's initialize everything here to 0. And that should be by the number of the competitors, not of the events. So take note of that, yeah? Okay. So I haven't done this. Let's use this value, total points. Let's start it from 0. Okay, so here we'll be totaling all the points until we get to the end. So we'll be totaling all of these points until we get to the end before we will now add it to the array here. Yeah. So for each of the competitors and for each of the events, we need to do total. So we need to do total. So we'll be adding all the values until we get to the last event. Okay, so once we do that, we can now say points. point of the competitor will be equal to that. Yeah. And then we can now return the total to the default value of 0. So that way we are ready for a new entry. All right. So meanwhile, we need to do some comments here. We're totaling the competitor score. What else we need to do? So here we're adding it or storing total scores to points array, and then here we're resetting the value to 0. Now we could have equally skipped all of this and just put this here. It's possible. Okay, and do the totaling inside of the array. Okay, but for clarity's sake, I decided to split it this way. All right. So at this point, I think it's safe for us to print the total just to confirm if our answers, are correct. Yeah. So I don't know if we should test again just to be sure that we're good. Yeah, I don't know. Should we test? Okay, there's no harm in trial. Let's just test to confirm. Okay, so I'm still going to use the sample data that I used before in order to confirm, since I've done the calculation already, so I don't have to do it afresh. Yeah, I'm going to use these ones to just confirm if the answers are correct, if our program is run correctly. Okay, so let's confirm if everything is working effectively. So we have 140, 140, 185, 253. So let's go back here to confirm that. Okay, so I think everything is working well here. Our totaling works effectively. So the next thing we need to calculate is the highest point here. So the next thing we need to calculate is the highest point here. Okay. So let's say highest event score. So let's put it as an array. This is what I mean. We want to find out this highest event score here. The highest score here. The highest score. So let it be a 1D array so that for each time it corresponds to each event. Each of these corresponds to this very event here. Okay, so remember it is for the event, so this shouldn't be number of competitors, should be number of events. Yeah. So let's get a variable called the highest. So this very one is going to store the highest value while we keep changing it as we proceed. This ID keeps suggesting the things I don't want to me. That's not what I want right now. So for each of the events, so we're going towards the event route. Remember where the event is supposed to be the outer loop, whereas the competitor the inner loop. Okay, so the reason is because for this very event we will run through these ones. For this event we will run through, so this should be the outer loop, whereas this should be the inner loop. Yeah. So for each of the competitor, this has to be indented, and then for each of the events, sorry, and then for each of the competitor. So what we have to do now is to compare this value, which is the lowest value. So usually I like to start with the lowest value, so that as we meet a higher value we can just replace that value. Yeah. Okay, so we have to compare them to determine the highest value. Yeah. Okay, so if the competitor score by the event, yeah, so remember, if it is higher than 0, then we need to swap them. Yeah. So the highest score will be equal to this. Okay, so we're swapping. Yeah. We need to, is it swap? No, we're replacing, sorry. Replacing the value of the highest. Okay. So once we are able to do this at the first run, we would have found out the highest score. Okay. So we can put it in our highest score array, our highest event score. So by the event, they should be highest. Yes. So be careful when you're using this guy, because it has a way of suggesting the things that you don't need to use. I think there should be a way to stop this from happening. I'll have to check that later. So each time you finish this very run, you need to reset the value of your highest to 0. Very important. And then, so at this point, I think we can print again. Remember, all these printings are necessary. They are not a problem. Okay. So we need to print highest points. Okay, the highest points. All right. Do we need to test again? We're getting tired of testing. Okay, but let's just test again, just to be sure. Okay, just to be sure that this is working, so that we don't go very far and then we realize that we've messed up long time ago. Right. Okay, so these are the highest points. So let's go back to our Excel here to confirm. So we have 90, 90, 90, 20. So that means we are on point. Yeah, we are on point. Okay, so everything so far seems to be working well. So the next thing for us to do is to start our output. So we know the highest point. We know the highest point as per the event. We know the points already. We've summed up all the points. So let's begin to output the winners now. So here it says output the names of the competitors who receive a medal for the highest points scored. Okay. So here we're printing the competitors with the highest score or the highest points. Okay, so here, remember we're looking for the event for each of the events. That's why we started with event. If we're doing for the competitor, we need to do competitor first before the event. Yeah. So the event will be the outer loop, whereas the competitor will be the inner loop. Yeah. Okay. So each time we meet, this should be, this is wrong. Please be careful of this guy. Okay. So here we need to so here we're checking. This is wrong. Okay. Yeah. So please, if you're using this very version, be careful of auto completions like that. Okay, they may just end up misleading you. Okay. So here, let me double check. Okay. Okay. So here, remember that we already have the highest score. Okay. So when we check that the highest score corresponds to the score by the event, this is what I mean. We have this highest score here already stored. So we are checking if we are able to find 90 here, we should print this guy's name. We find 90 here, we print this guy's name. You understand? Okay. So we need to print the competitor here. So we're printing the competitor's name. What is this? This auto completion guy. Stop. Print So we're printing a competitor, the competitor name. Okay, so this is what I want the output to look like. So it will do event one, and it will print all the names of the competitors with that very maximum score. So competitor name Almond with competitor score. So it will print the score 90. Okay, so that's the highest scores here. Maybe we need to add a better comment here. Let me do this. Medals awarded to let me take this one out here. Event one medals awarded to, so we have them here. So this will run through for each of the events, okay, until the very end. So now we need to find out now we need to calculate the highest total points scored for the 5 events. um this is what we're referring to. We need to calculate, we need to check which score here is the highest. And remember, we're not allowed to use max and mean and sum to do all of these things. Yeah. So please do not use built-in formulas like max and mean and sum to do this work, else you will not get the marks that you require. I did a video on this before, on this warning before. Possibly I'll drop the link to that very video in the description box as well. So we want to find out what is the highest number here. Yeah, the highest to 2 points. Let's make that 0. I don't want this guy coming to disturb me. Maybe I need to find out how to stop this AI thing that is trying to hurriedly completing this code for me. Okay, so since we have this as 0, we'll say for competitor in range. Okay, so at times the auto completion thing comes in handy. Okay, so you just have to be careful. So this one, we're looking for this, and then we don't need a second loop, because remember, we're just using the points, not the scores now, right? So if point by the competitor is greater than the highest, which is this auto thing here, is good now. Okay, so if that is the case, then we just need to switch the values. Yeah, we need to replace the value. Where is that thing? I lost it. Okay, there you are. So we need to replace this value, yeah, as the highest point. Mhm. So we need to do that until the end. So by doing so, we'll find out the point that is the maximum point. So once you find out the highest point, you can now print the names of the computer with the highest total points scored for each of the 5 events, right? Okay. So let me display a message here. So here we now need to loop across the competitors, okay, so that we can get their name while we are doing the corresponding check on the points for each of them. This is what I mean. Remember that so as we're looping across this, we're looking for these guys, okay. We're going through this guy and checking if they correspond with the highest point so that we can print their names, okay. So for each of the competitors, if we find out that the point this should be equal to, not greater than, if we find out that the point is let's drum with my hand. If we find out that the point by this competitor is equal to the highest point, then we need to print the competitor's name, okay, as the person with the highest score there. So it can be one person, it can be more than one. Okay, so that's that. Any other thing that we need to do? So I think we're basically done with this job. basically done with this job. So if we enter the same data that we entered before, the one I used, so we checked this out, we checked this out. Okay, so going by this data, we need to print. So take note that we would print for this very event one. We should see competitor one, which is uh, let me change this name to Amount in this case. Competitor two, I don't know the names I used again. So Amon, Brave, Gifted, and Light, in that order. Amon, Brave, Gifted, and Light. Okay, so this is the last guy there. Okay, so if we follow this accordingly, we should print out Amon, Light as the winners of the first event, and then only Brave as the winner of this, in that very order. So let's run and see if our program is working effectively. And then by the end of the day, Light should be the overall winner. Yeah, because that's the highest score. Okay, let's see. Right, so for event one, so this is where our first check-in ended. So competitor highest score. So for event one, the medal is awarded to the beautiful Almond and Light. So let's confirm that. So Almond and to Light because they all have the highest score of 90. Okay. For event two, it is to Brave alone. So let's confirm that. Brave has 90 here. Good. So for this one, it should be Light who has 90. Uh, good. Light has 90. For event four, it should be Light with 20 points. So let's confirm that Light has 20 points, which is the highest point there. And then for event five, that should be Light, Gifted and Light with 30 points. Gifted and Light, okay, so everything works well. And then the overall winner has to be Light. Okay, we didn't display the number of points here. Okay, but if you want to, you can. If you don't want, you can let it slide. Okay, so you need to put with points. You now mention this point and that point. Yeah. Okay, so if you want, you just need to do this, copy that, and then you can say, oh, with points, with that number of points. Yeah, that point. Okay, so that does the job. Um, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it very interesting. Please do it to subscribe, do it to like, do it to share if you've not. Please remember that is the only way you pay us. That's the way you get to appreciate us for the work that we do. All right, have you done that? Okay, guys, I'll see you guys again in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.